Trump's megachurch rally in Phoenix had a lot of young conservatives, and one young conservative spoke up and talked about the cancel culture that she sees and how much she hates it by invoking Aunt Jemima.
Aunt Jemima was canceled. And if you didn't know, Nancy Green, the original first Aunt Jemima, she was a picture of the American dream. She was a freed slave who went on to be the face of the pancake syrup that we love and have in our pantries today.
Okay, so you're probably laughing right now, and we will be too, but just understand that she's going to have a show on Fox in 3 years, give or take. So just bear that in mind. The joke is going to be on us, because she's going to be paid to replace Laura Ingraham in 2 years, I'm going to say. And by the way, I predicted the rise of Tomi Lahren back when no one knew who she was, so I get the buttons they're supposed to press. So anyway, to the substance, the Aunt Jemima being canceled thing, JR, what do you think?
Oh, okay. So Aunt Jemima's been canceled. I heard there was some. I didn't read the details of what maybe her great grandson or grandson or descendants have said. They're upset that her legacy is being erased and all that. So I mean, I guess it's okay for the family to want their family members somehow on a pancake syrup and perpetuating a stereotype, because Aunt Jemima wasn't just a thing for it's just that one person. There's a mindset behind all that. There's an energy and there's a stereotype that's driven behind that. So yeah, you keep the pancake syrup in your pantry and still pour it on your pancakes, but you have this face looking at you and you're thinking, yep, this is the way Black women and where they need to be in our society. Still serving us, still talking. The mindset you probably have of what you think that Black person is supposed to sound like, all that stuff is what perpetuates your subconscious about your approach to Black folks and where the good old days of this country versus these uppity folks doing all the things they're doing now. So that American dream is a dream to continue perpetuating that stereotype that helps you feel better about your perceived supremacy over other folks, because those harkens back to the good old days. Just like when politicians always talk about the good old days of the 1950s and how great America was then, it wasn't great for every American, So the good old days, you explicitly say, were great for us, and everyone else who those weren't the good old days, how dare you? What you were getting murdered or something? What, was the system completely killing you and devaluing your life? Kind of sounds like what we're going through right now, actually.
Yeah, I love how accidentally accurate what she said is, that the American dream is a former slave having her image co-opted and being barely compensated to be put on a product to benefit American capitalism. Yeah, that kind of is actually the American dream. It's not a good one, but it is accurate. And she had said at one point, the leftist mob is trying to erase her legacy. Look, if her family wishes that she would remain, that is entirely up to them to do. I will say her legacy is already erased. Certainly Reagan Escudé, I guess that's her name, she doesn't know anything about that legacy. Almost no one did. I didn't. I had to do research. Do you know what the legacy is? Her image was taken, and she was barely paid anything. And so despite the fact that her face appeared on countless millions of things that are still in our pantry, she couldn't live on those royalties, had to work as a housekeeper until she eventually died and lived in an unmarked and was buried in an unmarked grave until just a few years ago, after decades and decades. That was the legacy. She was used and abused by capitalism and barely compensated. That's the legacy that nobody knew about. They thought, oh yeah, she's happy. And there's myths going around that she was a millionaire and all that. So her legacy has been purposefully manipulated. The idea that she had been a happy slave and things like that. That's the legacy that Reagan is defending there.
Yeah, there's a mindset that some folks have that, slaves enjoyed their lives. And hey, remember they were singing and, oh yeah, they were smiling. This must have been a great life for them. It was better for them then. Those things have been said. So the hearkening back to that feel is good for many of those folks. And that template of using a Black or brown person's experience in their creation or who they are to your benefit as a company and a corporation is age old in this country. When it comes to music, when it comes to creation, artistry, any of that stuff that happens in this country, we've stolen rock and roll. Come on, let's keep it real. So anyway, we've stolen the creation and the origins of Black creation and taken it and profited like severely from it. That's the story of this right now, as you pointed out. You get dimes and you get an unmarked grave, we become $1 billion corporation.
Yeah.
Just the way it
100%.
works.
Well, one other comment I want to read of hers, and this is how I know that she's going to end up having a Fox show. It's because she says inane, moronic things like this. She said, quote, "How privileged we are that our biggest concern is a bottle of pancake syrup." To which I respond, "You're the one giving a speech about it. I wasn't giving a speech. You were giving us. That's how little importance it has for you." But anyway, and that's not what the protests are about. The company decided to make a change, and not just them.
Absolutely.
Also, Ms. Butterworth, Uncle Ben, Cream of Wheat, all of them with the same sorts of sort of mascot images are changing it. That's not the protests. And you know what? Crazy idea. We're allowed to be concerned about multiple things at the same time. We don't have to choose one thing. It doesn't have to be the singularly most important thing. And even if we were to try to reach that absolutely BS standard that she appears to be providing there, they would never agree, because all the things that are actually hurting the American people, they refuse to even accept exists. They don't believe in racism in the first place.
Absolutely.
How are we going to convince them that doing something about it is the most important thing facing America?
Oh
It's
man,
absolutely yes.
she's going to be incensed when these woke progressives get their hands on the Washington Redskins, Atlanta Braves.
Mm-hmm.
How many other kind of Native American symbols have been used for sports that we've made sure we've sustained and kept around? And if those things start getting, which they've been challenged, but when things actually change in that arena,
yeah,
hair pulling.
Yeah.
Because, those Native Americans are very proud of the fact that there's this caricature version profile shot of them with a spearhead and everything next to them on the side of a major NFL team's helmet.
Yeah. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.